Oh, yay, I'm live. All right. All right. Welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. Please comment live or replay, whether you're watching live or joining me at a later time. Thank you so much for being here. So, today we're talking about something that is subtle. It is a quiet feeling that is very easy to miss. Say it's 10:30 at night and you're scrolling online. And then you see someone celebrating a new project or a milestone or posting about their progress somehow, somewhere, some way, right? And then you set your phone down and then this quiet thought comes up. I should be further along. Am I falling behind? I should be further along. Now, nothing in your life is an emergency. You handle all your responsibilities like you always do today, like you always do, and then, but still, there is this heaviness inside, like you are late to your own life. And there is not a real deadline, it's just an internal sense of lag. And that's what we're unpacking tonight. By the end of this live, you'll understand exactly what that feeling is and how to release the pressure around it. Now, this feeling of falling behind, it usually has nothing to do with tasks or responsibilities. It just comes from an internal measuring, meaning, like we all carry this timeline in our head. By this age, I would have finished college. I would have finished college. Or by this time, I would have retired. Or by this time in my life, I've saved for my kids. I would have saved for my kids' college, or and so forth. Basically, I thought I would be somewhere else by now. And that timeline is not it's rarely something that we've written down, and it's rarely defined. It's more something that we have imagined, you know? And then when our reality doesn't match the pace that we had imagined, the pressure builds inside. Now, this doesn't mean that there is anything wrong, but because our own expectations about where we'll be in life don't really match to where we are, the mind reads this as a gap and as a delay. It reads this gap as a delay, and that delay makes us feel like we're falling behind. Now, for example, we thought by now we will be more financially stable and we'll be able to retire. The bills are paid, life is moving, we're functioning. Still, we had imagined more freedom at this stage. Or we thought that once I grown up, I will feel more confident. right? More steady, more certain, but we still second guess ourselves sometimes. Or we believe that we will have more clarity about our direction in life. But instead, we're still refining, we're changing, we're pivoting, we're still learning. And none of these are wrong, none of these are emergencies, but they press against that timeline that we had created in our minds. And that creates a feeling of being late, of falling behind. Here's a real example from my own life. As you may know or not, as I had just turned 47 and became a mom. And by many societal standards, that looks like that's too late, right? And there were moments where I could have measured myself against those other timelines. Having children earlier, different series of events, but I had two divorces. I had years of growth. And then in my mid 40s, I met the man who is now my husband, the father of my child, my forever man. But I had to go through all of that growth and life experience. I had to go through that sequence of events in order to arrive to where I am now. If I had measured my life against a specific timeline, I would have felt like I was falling behind, but I wasn't behind. I was just living my actual path. And that timeline only felt wrong when I compared it to someone else's journey, to something that I had imagined or something external. Now, it's important to recognize that because many times the pressure isn't coming from our own life, it's coming from the way that we're measuring our lives. And when the mind senses a gap between expectation and our current reality, it begins searching for a reason. And it often believes, gosh, I missed something. What did I miss? Right? And this conclusion creates urgency. But urgency without a real deadline turns into anxiety. And when anxiety doesn't have something specific to tackle, like a specific task or a bill that's due or a phone call that we have to make, you know, it begins to spread and it stops being about one specific area and it turns into everything. My life, like everything's wrong in my life. I am behind in life. And that's why I feel so big. What we have to realize is that it's not about where we are today specifically. It's about how we imagine things would be compared to how our real life is. And that's the difference. That's the key difference. Now, to help clear this, let's bring it into awareness. So I invite you to take a piece of paper and write down, I thought I would be blank by now. I thought I will be where by now. And then fill in the blank honestly. And then write, what did I assume had to happen for that to be true? What did I think had to happen for that to be true? And then list the assumptions. I thought I'd meet the guy of my dreams and be married by now. I thought that by then I would have, um, you know, finished. I would be clear with what I want or what I don't want. I thought by now I would have retired. I thought by now I would have finished college. By now I would have decided my major and graduated. But I haven't. Why? Write your own examples. What's going on in your life. But then write, what have you actually built instead? And inventory what is real in your life. The skills that you've gained, the experiences that you've had, your resilience and wisdom and relationships, your self-awareness and depth. Okay, I didn't marry early, but I got to build a career and I got to travel all over the world, and I had fun, and I did everything I wanted, and then I met the guy of my dreams, and now we're married. Now we have a kid, and life is good. And yeah, I didn't have a kid until later, but that's okay. Life is great. So when you do this inventory, something inside of you will shift. And you will stop measuring against something external or a fantasy. Something that you had imagined. And you will start measuring against your reality, your real life. And you will redefine what progress looks like for you. Taking control of what, where you are in life. Because life rarely unfolds according to the timeline we had imagined when we were in our 20s or in our 30s. And real progress, it grows under the surface before we can see it, like a seed. For a long time, after you plant a seed, for a long time, nothing shows above the ground. And sometimes you wonder, if anything is really happening. But it doesn't mean that nothing's happening. It just means that it had to take its time, go through its own sequence of growth in order for it to blossom. We have to build stability before expansion becomes visible. And every person's pace is different. When we measure ourselves against someone else's timeline, the pressure increases. But when we measure ourselves against our own lived experience, the pressure softens, right? Goes away. If you feel behind, it doesn't mean that you have failed. It just means that you're still measuring yourself by an old expectation. And most pressure dissolves once you become aware of what those expectations are. And once you become aware, clarity will replace that urgency, that feeling of falling behind, that internal pressure. Now there's clarity. Just remember, you don't need to rush your life. You may be measuring your present life with old expectations. Here's an affirmation from one of my favorite teachers, Louise Hay. I affirm divine timing. All is well in my world. Out of this situation, only good will come, and I am free. Inside Align Abundance School, my community, we use tools, this type of tools, to examine where we think we should be compared to where we are and observe and become aware. Reset our nervous system. So I invite you to come do this work with us. Now remember, you are not late. You are not late. Your life is unfolding at your own unique sequence. And that sequence takes time. Take your time, as life is a very individual process. If you like my topics, I invite you to subscribe to my channel. Please share with me in the comments what resonated the most for you today. And thank you so much for watching. Until next time.